Hello again, it's Noob, and this is not the tool that Bosnian Bill and Lockpicking Lawyer made with Sparrow's lockpicks. Now, if you've seen my channel, you know what I'd like to do, direct comparisons between tools from different manufacturers. I like to review tools based on their own merits, but this, let's face it, is so similar in form factor to the Sparrow's tool. Here is the Sparrow's tool, that it's clearly going to court the comparison in the comments, and there's no point in avoiding it. Plus, I did buy this with my own money from a Chinese emporium, a very popular online one, so I feel that I can say what I like about this because it is my property. So yeah, well, before we clutch our pearls too tightly, we should just point out that whilst this is a very good tool, well respected for its price point, very effective, it is still just a refinement of the traditional very cheap under $5 Chinese Detainer pick. Okay, this doesn't look very nice and it isn't as effective or refined, but nevertheless this is just an evolution of this tool. And it is also worth noting that with these tools, and this will be relevant in a minute, they don't come very well finished. In fact, you can just about pick a very low quality Chinese disc detainer lock with this tip straight out of the packet. But what you tend to need to do, which isn't great for beginners, to even be moderately successful with a wider range of locks, is to almost halve the height of the picking tip and put a small notch or groove in the tensioning tip to allow you to get past the warding, which is often present on the first disc or the spinner of some disc detainer locks. As it is flat, it just won't allow you to get past that. It'll just butt up against that first disc and not allow you to tension. Why is that relevant? Well, let's have a look at this monstrosity. This is the tip that came out of the box with this Haoshi Tools Detainer pick. It is incredibly unfinished, and it appears to be welded or brazed on. Not necessarily bad, maybe not the strongest, but nevertheless. The thing is, if you're going to buy a tool like this, and this was the equivalent of, and you might be able to find it cheaper, not saying you're not, the equivalent of $45 US. If you're going to spend that money on what you might first think is a more refined Detainer pick, you're probably a newer or intermediate picker who just wants to buy this tool and use it in a Detainer lock. And here's a relatively good quality one, albeit a basic one by Girder. But look at this tip, look at the lock, and this hasn't got any warding in. This is just a nice big wide open keyway, and it's very hard to show you on camera, but look, I can't actually push this down. I can get it in if I angle it and sort of angle it in like that, but then that just pushes the problem down to the next disc and the next disc. It is quite literally unusable out of the packet. Now, the simple solution would be to take a file and file this tip down very much in the same way that you would to get a profile like this slightly butterfly profile on the Sparrow's pick. That wouldn't take too long and it wouldn't take too much skill. But if you are relatively new or not confident to picking, especially Detainers, or you're not confident with your toolmanship, is that even a word? Your skill with files, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about. You could even use a rotary multi-tool. Then you're going to get something out of the pack, which, and I'm assuming they're all the same, they might be different, I might just got a bad one. But you risk, therefore, getting a tool which you just can't use out of the pack and may not be able to refine to the point where you'll be able to use it confidently. Is there a simple way around this? Well, actually, yes. And the recommendation, if you like this Detainer pick, probably won't come too much as a surprise. You just take out that old pick tip and put in a new one. And you might think, well, where could I get a well-shaped, good quality one of these? And no, they're not sponsoring this video. But the answer is Sparrow's Lockpicks, who actually sell a pack of two nicely shaped pick tips designed for replacements on the Sparrows tool for $6.45. All prices are without shipping for ease. And this works really nicely, and the black just works really nice as well. So yeah, you with a slight degree of irony, you can actually make quite a nice disc detainer pick by buying the pick tips from Sparrows. But then you think to yourself, is it worth it? Because if this was around $45 from a Chinese reseller of Haoshi tools, how much is a Sparrows disc pick? Well, this is actually, again without shipping costs included, $45, and comes with, I think, 2 tips already in the packet. So I really think you have to bear all that in mind. You can probably pick and choose between the two. You might be able to get this at a cheaper price, but you will risk having a pick tip which looks like this and not this. Yeah. Now, however, this is a review. I am not going to spend my time filing down this tip. I don't think it's worth my time. I will be using a spare Sparrows tip because why wouldn't I? But in terms of general pros and cons of this, I will give it credit that this tool does look quite nice. It seems to be made of aluminium on the body. It's got nice tolerances. It doesn't have a lot of wriggle. The handles are nice, and it's quite a nice long shaft here you can play with. So you can really, you know, if you've got a very deep keyway, you can really extend that down so to allow you to get into that keyway. Gives you a lot of flexibility. The handles are nicely finished. Again, with these things, the anodizing might not last too long. You see a little bit of chipping, and this is brand new. But overall, aesthetically, it looks nice. I like that kind of purple colour. The handles are nice. Yes, the overall paint job and finish might not last as long, but it's not terrible. You know, it's not terrible to look at and to use. So let me get this tip all sorted, and we'll pick this lock. And you might argue, well, is that really a review if you haven't filed this down? I'm like, well, if I have filed this down, I've already modified the tool anyway, so it's unusable as it is. Let me just use the tip, which is already usable out of the pack, because this tip on its own, if you take it in half, is only just over $3. So just to save that amount of time for a good tip seems like the right choice to me. Right, back in a sec. So tool in to the bottom, let's pick up that first disc only. We have tension, let's try and hold that nice and level. I think we're right at the bottom. Oh, right at the bottom here. Okay, so let's try and find the first disc. Try and keep that central. Right, first disc here, the last disc here. Right, so turn. That feels good. Next disc. Come on. That felt good. Next disc. That felt good. Next disc. That feels good. Next disc. Next disc. Next disc. Sure I've got that okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test every disc from the bottom up again. So spinning. Okay, that one feels good. Next disc. Oh, and it looks like we might be open, apart from the fact that the first disc isn't set. So if I can grab that last disc like that and then return this back, then we've got the open. There we go. So you might be thinking, why did it take so long to pick such a basic Detainer disc? And that's all to do with what happened when I did my first attempt on it. And that is, well, let me show you the design of this tip here. It goes square. Why is that important? It's because when you actually screw these handles in, that becomes really solid, and you can't over torque. Well, you can over torque, you can probably damage the tips and the disc in the lock, but this becomes locked in. This, on the other hand, the handles are quite nice, that's not the problem. But the problem is this is entirely round, which means that I had to be so careful with the pick tip that it would otherwise spin around. You could resolve that by, again, getting some files and flattening down the sides, but do you really want to be doing that? I don't know. It depends on how much you like this this color scheme, really, and or how much you mind having to do some just extra refinement work. And this is where my conclusion is, really. You know, this is somewhere around the $45 US mark, not including any shipping costs. Aesthetically, it looks nice. It's very usable. It's got very little movement in it. It's arguably not bad at first impressions. It's only when you come to actually using it, which I guess is largely the point of the tool, do you come up with two major issues. One being the pick tip, and the other being the fact that there is no flat edge on the tensioning tip. Both are fixable with probably less than an hour of work using some simple hand tools, but nevertheless, would you want to go down that route? Not a sponsor of this video, although they have sponsored other videos. I'm only doing comparison to this tool because it is, by the nature of being worked on by Lockpicking Lawyer and Bosnian Bill and Sparrow's Lock Tools, very, very noticeable and known in the community. So you've got to think, for $45 US, you do get this, and it comes with, I think, a spare tip and grub screws and things like that. So you can have this tool for a very similar price. And if you were to get this tool, I would still probably recommend getting some Sparrow's tips anyway, just because it'll save you a whole lot of time for not very much money, well, depending on where you are and the postage and all the rest of it. So I'm not sure about the conclusion of this video. I guess it comes down to a matter of some taste and maybe the ability to make a small saving on this tool if you search for a better price than I got mine for. But it's not a very easy one to recommend, especially when you consider the price point of the Sparrow's tool. So yeah, let me know what you think of this type of tool in the comments below. I think it's pretty clear what I think. I'd love to know your comments. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, then hit that like, smash that subscribe if you think I'm worth it and want to see more videos of mine. And of course, I'll see you all next time.